Howdy, y'all. Howdy, Helen.
Oh, darling, I'm utterly knackered today, and it's just the beginning of the day.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, I reckon you should take a little nap.
Yeah, I might just do that, drink some tea and relax.
Oh my God. Okay, that was funny.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to PoducateMe, the ESL podcast.
And clearly, today we are just kind of talking a little bit about different accents. I don't know if you noticed, we were doing
Uh-huh.
some silly accents in the beginning. But I think today we wanted to talk a little bit more about like accent anxiety.
Oh, yes.
And I think maybe today we'll go over kind of, first of all, what is accent anxiety? Maybe
Mhm.
some of our own personal experiences, what
And
we've seen in the
some
class.
of the experiences that we had with our students.
Yeah,
And also, disclaimer, guys, we're not experts, okay, on
not
accent.
at all.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever done like any research or dig like
I
deep
mean,
into this topic.
if you mean by research like Googling, then yes, I have done some research. But
Yeah.
other than that, no. I think I just have like a very superficial knowledge of this
Yeah,
type of thing. Yeah.
same for me, just like what I have from my personal experience and what I had in the what
Yeah.
I've seen in the classroom. We did taught a lot of pronunciation, of course, I'm
Yes.
sure, like during the course of our teaching career,
Yeah.
but we're not experts.
No.
So we're gonna be speaking from our own experience. And
Hmm.
it would be nice if you guys, through the course of this episode, you have some questions or if you have some advice, I don't know, maybe on interesting articles or videos, please share it with us.
Yeah, I think it's an area that it's very interesting and just very relevant to a lot of people
It
who are
is.
studying languages or learning a new language,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's just one of those first things that people really get worried about. So let's first give a little, I guess, definition or what we would define as
Mhm.
accent anxiety. How would you describe accent
So I
anxiety?
would say that accent anxiety is something that happens to you while you are speaking to native speakers of a language that you are learning, and you are not being very confident because you are worried that you will be judged or misunderstood by the other people, especially native speakers.
Yeah.
So this is something that makes you very like nervous and very self-conscious about how you speak, and it can interfere a lot
Yes.
with the message that you're trying to convey.
Yeah, and I think a
Would
lot
you
of
add anything
yeah,
of
I think a
this?
lot of people they not only do they feel nervous or fearful of being misunderstood, but it also discourages, I
Yeah.
think, a lot of people from actually fully wanting to try to communicate what they want to communicate, right?
Hmm.
And what I always tell students and what I always say about learning a language is you just have to like get out there and
And go with it.
and go with it because how else will you learn, right?
Hmm.
That's how I learned another language and I'm sure that's how you learn by like not being afraid. But this accent anxiety is what can really often like keep people from doing this,
That is so
right?
true. That is
Yeah.
so true. And we're going to get to this in more detail a little bit later. But surprisingly, people very often are worried more about their accent than about their vocabulary and grammar.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I think as teachers, people who have taught ESL or English as a second language, we can definitely say, like, nope, these are way more important. Having a good vocabulary, knowing how to use your words, structuring sentences properly, this is way, way, way more important than whatever your accent is.
That is so true.
Yeah.
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 And you will be more understood with proper structures and grammar and more vocabulary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have actually a personal experience to share,
Hmm.
and actually something that happened to me when we started recording our podcast,
Hmm.
our episodes. I was so um, self conscious about trying to speak correctly
Yeah.
without without making any mistakes that there was an episode. I don't think that we had to record it, re-record it, that I was so focused on speaking properly that I forgot all of the vocabulary that I know. And there was an episode when I used the word amazing like 10 times. I love the word amazing. It is
It's
amazing,
an amazing
okay?
word,
It is
sure.
an
Amazing,
amazing
amazing,
word.
amazing.
Yeah, but not repeating it every single time. I guess that it was the episode where Hannah was telling us her story, how she got into teaching. Again, guys, we had to re record it, okay? So if you go back to the episode, you will not hear me saying amazing. But in the initial one, to every Hannah's comment or story, I was like, amazing! How amazing! That is so amazing! So, again, because I was so focused on speaking properly without making any mistakes, I forgot everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what anxiety does to us, right? Like in
Exactly.
general, not just accents, but it
Mhm.
makes you kind of not be your full self, or like not being able to, show your true colors kind
Exactly.
of.
And your full potential,
Yeah, yeah.
what you've learned.
Exactly, exactly. So I
Yeah.
think that's definitely just one of the things that is accent anxiety in our opinion.
Hmm.
And I think that one thing as ESL teachers who have been around ESL speakers for many, many years and have interacted with so many different people of all levels, of every color, shape, like everything, it's really not the thing to be anxious about.
Mm.
It's really not something that you should be concerned about too much, right? It's your accent doesn't define your language ability. That's like the hard bottom line, I think, right? It
Yeah.
really doesn't define how good of a speaker you are, how what smart you are. Like that's absolutely not the case.
Not the
Yeah.
case. And I would always, and I guess that you would agree with me, Hannah, that I would always take good grammar and good vocabulary over perfect accent.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think one thing to also note, and this is kind of how we started our episode today, was there's no one true accent, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different types of accents, and also so many different English speaking countries where the accents are different. And so when you say that you're trying to improve your accent, improve your, um, you know, like when you say you're trying to improve your accent, what does that mean? What accent? From where?
Exactly.
Right?
And also, this idea just came to my mind. I want you guys to think about if English is not your first language, think about your home country and think about different regions of your home country where
True.
people speak different accents.
Yeah.
I thought about this because I'm from Ukraine and I was born and I grew up in a Russian speaking region of the country. And I've been speaking Russian my whole life. And I could speak and read Ukrainian, but I was not using it on daily basis. So, since certain events started unfolding in my home country, a lot of people who used to speak Russian, they switched to Ukrainian. So now I speak Ukrainian more on daily basis, but I'm pretty sure that to people in Ukraine who's been speaking Ukrainian their whole life, I do sound like I speak with an accent.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. And it
Yeah.
doesn't make me anxious when I speak my first language.
Or any less Ukrainian.
Exactly. It doesn't make me any less Ukrainian.
Yeah,
Although I was born there, I am Ukrainian, but I still speak Ukrainian with an accent.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, also for me, not for English because English is my first language, but when I was learning the Korean language, I did really have a lot of accent anxiety. I really truly did. And one of the reasons for this is because, Korea is a homogenous country,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the Korean language is so um, I mean, we were talking about this before, where the Korean language is actually very like scientific.
Mm-hmm.
It's very there's only one sound for one alphabet character or whatever, and this is how you pronounce it, and that's it, right? Of course, there are different dialects or things like that, but that's more about expressions or figures of speech, this type of thing. But when you're in, let's say, Seoul, the capital
Hmm.
city of Korea, if you do have any sort of like even the slightest accent, people will know that you're not from around here, right? So even like I would walk into a restaurant or get into a taxi and just say hello, and people can clock that accent. They're like, "Oh, you're not from around here. Where are you from?" Like that would be the first thing that they said to me. And I thought that I actually had a pretty solid Korean accent, especially after many years of practice and having a lot of Korean friends and speaking a lot in Korean on a
Hmm.
day-to-day basis. But, you know, people still knew that I was from
Not
another
around. Yeah.
country. But honestly, I don't think it made them judge me. It was just more of like, wow, good for you. You learning Korean and you've gone this far. Like after you go further into the conversation, I'm
Mhm.
able to communicate to them, talk to them for a certain period of time. And then during that conversation, they would most like 99% of the time, the reaction was always like, wow, that's very impressive that your Korean is that good or it's gone this far. Um, this is you know,
Yeah.
it's not anything to really feel afraid about
Yeah,
because
it's
yeah.
I would also say that it's a kind of a superpower because
Yeah.
when you speak to native speakers and they can notice your accent, they know that you speak another
Yeah.
language. Yeah?
Exactly. It's more of I think that's the attitude that a lot of people have where it's like if you are speaking English with an accent, it means it's not your first language, which means you speak at least one other language. So
Yeah.
you're at least bilingual, which is very impressive,
It is
right? So it's the
impressive.
opposite of people thinking that you're dumb or stupid. It's actually the opposite.
I really like this thing. I read it somewhere on the internet, I guess on my favorite blog of like language
Uh
nerds.
huh.
And there was a thing that says, you speak English because this is the only language that you know. I speak English because this is the only language that you know.
Oh,
And this is
okay.
beautiful.
What is that saying about native speakers like me?
No, I mean, you do speak a different language, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it's for the when people are unhappy about somebody else's English.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it does
That
happen.
that does happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking about accent anxiety, me coming first to Canada, if you guys listened to the episode of my story, I did come very confident that I was like, oh my God, I'm amazing. I mean, I was down to earth. I knew that I do not know everything about the language, but I thought that I had very solid language skills. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I did have them. But when it came to accent, and when the first couple of weeks, I don't know, months, whenever I would meet people and they would be like, oh, you have such a peculiar accent. Where are you from? And I would be like, what do you mean I have an accent?
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like bothered or
Yeah. Yeah.
offended by it, but I realized that, like, oh my God, of course I do have an accent. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how fluent I am, the amount of vocabulary I knew, how accurate my grammar is, I do have an accent.
Yeah.
But the funny thing, sorry, about the accent is that I started playing this game when people would ask me, like, you have such a peculiar accent, where are you from? And I would be like, guess.
Wait, sorry. Do people actually say you have a peculiar accent?
Peculiar accent. Yes,
Because there are a lot of like Ukrainian speaking people here.
exactly.
That's
But I
interesting.
don't think so. That's the thing that they would say peculiar because they couldn't pinpoint the
I
actual accent.
okay.
If I was speaking like
I
this,
guess
and
because
like I guess that they would know that I'm like either Russian or
yeah,
Ukrainian
I guess because your
descendant.
accent is not as strong.
Exactly. So
I
that's the
see.
thing that's why I started like playing this game with them that like where do you think I'm from? Like can you guess? And I was told so many different countries, but people could never I mean, of course, I didn't talk to all of the people in Toronto or whatever, but most of the response, people could never pinpoint that I'm from Eastern Europe.
I
Yeah,
see.
they would say
Interesting.
that I'm from like some European country.
Uh-huh.
I was even told once that I'm German or Italian. I'm like, okay,
Okay.
Australian, but people could never pinpoint that I'm Eastern
I
European.
mean, yeah, you'll meet all sorts of people. I've had people ask me where my accent is from in
Really?
Canada. I'm not even
Dear
joking.
God.
That has happened. And
Okay.
it's probably because
Mm-hmm.
of just judging based on physical appearance,
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate, but it happens. There are,
Yeah.
there's people like this all over the place. But I think, again, back to not being anxious, I think it's more, again, like just how people, the majority of people would
Mm-hmm.
think of you when you are speaking with any sort of accent,
Yeah.
right?
And also, hey, guys, here in Canada, especially in Toronto, everybody speaks with an accent.
Very true.
Everybody speaks
Yeah.
with an accent.
And it's like one of the most beautiful parts about
Yeah.
being in Toronto, living in Toronto. You get to hear so many beautiful like colors of language and the ways of speaking or again like we did an episode before about like why do these words not exist in English and it's like we get to learn so many expressions from other languages
Mm-hmm.
um, based on like just hearing different accents and
Hearing
things.
different
Yeah.
accents. And I just realized that this is the other superpower
Mm-hmm.
because you can understand so many different accents
Oh yeah. I think
and put them together and like into one language. And it's like, it doesn't matter with what accent you speak, I can still understand you.
yeah.
And this is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. I think one thing that we want to clarify though is like there is a difference when you're talking about language learning, there is a difference between accent and pronunciation,
Mm-hmm. So
right?
true.
So like I think you have as well, like you've taught pronunciation focused classes.
Mm-hmm.
I've built curriculum around pronunciation lessons and things like that. And there is a big difference, right? When we talk about pronunciation, we're talking about like stress of words, stress of syllables in different words. We're talking about tone, fluency, clarity. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about these things, not accents.
Not accents.
They are different things. I mean, they seem like they would be very similar, but I do want to clarify that they are different things.
Totally.
Yeah. And yeah,
Even the little thing that got me thinking right now, the famous pairs of words like sheet and
the other
the
one,
other one, and beach
beach.
and the other one. I'm gonna make an example of the words deed and did, or like been and been.
Yeah.
It took me forever to realize. I mean, not realize, maybe to. I cannot even say that I have mastered those sounds, but still, there is a big difference between them, and they can like totally change the meaning of what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's also not about the accent, right?
Yeah.
It's those like small things about the pronunciation that can actually interfere with understanding. This is something that we would teach in the classroom.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't want to get too technical about it, but when you do talk about how you pronounce certain sounds in your mouth, it there is a physiology and there is a science about it, right? And it is about like the way that your mouth muscles work and all of that stuff. And you know, again, I think um you were doing some Googling before, some research
Yes,
before.
I was doing some Googling before about language acquisition and different ages
Yeah.
because there is an opinion, I guess, that the younger you are, the easier it is for you to acquire the accent very close to the native speakers. And this is true because you're developing everything in your mouth and your body's developing. You hear the sounds a certain way. And the older you get, the more difficult it is to master
Yeah.
the accent of the language that you're learning.
Yeah, like my theory, and I think it's your theory as well, is like, I mean, your mouth is a muscle, right? And you adapt to certain like ways of physically moving your body uh, at a very young age, and it's hard to break the habit as you get older, or these things become fossilized in your
Mm-hmm.
body, right? And your mouth is exactly the same thing.
That is so true.
It's a muscle. Your muscle in your mouth has developed in a way for you to speak your native language. And so now you're changing it to try and speak another language. And this is not how your mouth muscles move, right? So
Yeah.
that's what makes it a lot more difficult as you
I
get
have a
older.
very great example about letter R,
Mm,
that in English it's R. In Russian and Ukrainian, we pronounce it as R,
yeah,
R. So it's like R.
you roll it.
I can say this sound, but we have a friend who is Iranian. He speaks Farsi. And one day he asked me to pronounce the word red in Farsi. I cannot remember the word, but the word has three letters R that are all pronounced differently.
Oh,
And I
interesting.
was like, easy, because I can say I can say I can say like whatever you want. Like it won't be a problem. It was a big problem. I was not able to say that word.
Yeah,
The same as how in Brazilian Portuguese, in the region from Rio de Janeiro, they
yeah.
don't say Rio or
Or
or Rio. They say Rio, and it's like what?
really?
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
say
know that.
Rio. I did tell you the very funny story about back pre-pandemic times at school. Me and my colleague, we were talking about Holocaust. Maybe it was somewhere
A
like
funny
around the
story
day. It is
about
a
Holocaust.
yeah.
Okay.
So the funny story, it's like the funny story about like the
Okay.
pronunciation.
Okay, okay.
And one of the Brazilian students comes in, joins the conversation, and they were like, "Oh my God, I love it. This is so much fun." We're like, "What's so much fun?" And he goes like, "Yeah, like yeah, he was talking about roller
I see, I
coasters,
see.
but the way he pronounced r, it sounded like holy coaster. So when he heard us talking about Holocaust, he thought that we were talking about the roller coasters. Yeah.
Ah, I
So
see.
again, the differences
Well, I
and
mean,
how like this was all like very big comment to the muscle
yeah,
memory of
yeah,
your mouth.
yeah. And it's just some of those things are super I mean, it's not impossible. Of course it's possible, but I think it's just more challenging as you get older and your muscles are already like fossilized in the way that you know how to move them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And also, I guess that, of course, with experience and with like living in Canada for such a long time, I could have tried and speak with Canadian accent, but then why?
Yeah,
Because me and my accent, like, this is the part of who I am.
exactly.
This is the part of who I am, and like, this is my story.
Yeah,
And I love telling my story. And I
exactly.
love it when people notice my accent, and I'm like, oh, I would love to tell you. Great
Mm-hmm.
question.
Mm-hmm. Great conversation starter.
Yeah.
And honestly, yeah, it's a part of your identity. Why would you want to lose that,
Yeah.
right? It is a part of where you're from, and it's something that you get to keep while you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah. And also, I love it, I guess, that we mm, read it or saw it somewhere together that the accent that you're speaking with, it's not a flaw, it's a flavor.
It's not a flaw, it's a
It's a
flavor.
flavor.
I love these
Yeah.
expressions.
Mm-hmm.
They're so like nice words of encouragement, I
Yeah.
think, right? Just to make you feel not so discouraged or not so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, again, I think um with anxiety in general, not just accent anxiety, but I think people who do have anxiety in general, that's like I do get very anxious a lot of times. It's hard to overcome
Mm-hmm.
in general. So, us just saying, don't be nervous, don't be anxious.
Won't
It's not,
change.
it,
Yeah,
it,
it's
it won't
like,
always, yeah, exactly. It won't always change the fact that you will be anxious about that certain thing. But I think just coming from a perspective of people who have been around a lot of ESL speakers and who have been in the same position, I think maybe we can try to give a little bit of reassurance, just a little bit, if it helps. I think, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I still get anxious, to be completely honest. Like when I speak Korean, especially now, because I haven't spoken Korean in a very long time. Well, I mean, every now and then I do speak it when I'm with like kind of older family members, but although they all speak English here, but sometimes I do speak Korean. But I haven't spoken like in an immersive place or,
Mm-hmm.
conversationally since I was living in Korea, actually. And nowadays, when it comes out so like like very
Rusty?
awkward. It's so rusty, and I do get more and more nervous about speaking it.
Mm-hmm.
And when somebody asks me just to like, hey, say something in Korean, I get really nervous and I feel like, no, I don't want to. Like it's gonna sound bad. I
Oh,
really
by the way, can you say something in Korean?
don't put me on the spot here. But yeah, I totally understand where the anxiety comes from. And
Mm-hmm.
I when I was living in Korea, it was very much like something that I had to tell myself every single time. Even when I was getting to a place where I was very fluent and I could really understand and communicate a lot of things, my vocabulary was good, but I still had to like I still had to give myself these little pep talks.
Mm-hmm.
So before I go into a store, I would say like, "Hey," in my head, I would tell myself, "Okay, you know what you're saying,
I love
and
it.
just say it confidently. If you say it confidently, they'll understand you.
Totally.
Like, sure, they can hear your accent, but it's okay. Just let them hear your accent."
Yeah.
So I would have to really every single time I would have to give myself this mental pep talk and then go in. And even if I wasn't feeling confident in myself, I had to
Oh.
pretend I was confident. Fake it till you make it, that type of
Mm-hmm.
deal.
I love it.
So
Fake
I
it till you make
yeah,
it. Yeah.
as somebody that has a lot of accent anxiety and a lot of anxiety in general, I think maybe my piece of advice is, yeah, just a little mental pep talk and fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
That's
And also, hey, you're not alone. We've all went through this. We're still going through this, and there are so many other people who are going through the same thing. You're doing great. If you're learning a different language, like kudos to you. You're awesome already.
Mhm.
So just go there and conquer the world of the language.
Conquer the world of the language. I like
Yes,
it. I
yes,
like it.
conquer the world of the language, and as we said, speak loud, accent proud.
Ooh, I like that.
People would be people. Yeah, I'm
We've
like
got
today. I'm full of these
we've
things.
got a
I
lot
don't
of
know
mottos coming out of this episode today. Wait, what do we have? Speak loud, language proud. It's not a
flaw. It's a
flaw, it's a
flavor.
flavor.
Yeah, and that was something else. I don't
Fake
know.
it till you make
Fake
it.
it till you
What
make
was the other one
it.
that you said earlier?
Um, I
There
don't
was
know.
a
It's a
oh my gosh.
superpower. Yeah, you're a superhero. You're
It's
learning a different language. Yeah.
exactly.
Just again, circling back a little bit to the things that are really important in language learning, it's not the accent, because the accent is not a marker of your true language abilities.
Mm-hmm.
Good grammar, good structure, vocabulary. Yeah,
Vocabulary.
these are like the pillars
Yeah,
of the language, I would
exactly.
say. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
So hopefully we kind of eased your anxiety a little bit. I don't know. I hope so. I hope we maybe gave you some practical advice at least to
Mhm.
overcome or some messages,
Some reassurance,
positive messages that you can
encouragement.
keep in your head. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would be really, really nice if you guys can share some of your stories with us, or just like write us a comment how you feel about your accent,
Hmm.
and how uh, what kind of a role it does take in your language journey. Yeah.
Or what specifically makes you anxious
Mm-hmm.
about
Oh,
language
that's
learning in
great.
general,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can leave a comment or follow us over at our Instagram, which is at PoducateMe, or you can shoot us an email. Emails are always welcome. ESLPoducateme at gmail.com.
Wonderful. And as always, keep listening, keep learning, and
Educate
educate
yourself.
yourself.